Hello, everyone. Welcome back. It feels like it's been forever. This time it wasn't actually as long as last time, but these past few days, something always feels like it's missing when we don't have our daily Zohar study. I hope everyone managed to make a daily connection to the Zohar over the past few days, on your own or with different recordings. But now we're back, and now we pretty much have a good stretch without any interruptions, which is very nice. Uh, I hope everyone had a life-changing experience this past holiday on the 7th of Pesach, and we've now entered the second week of the Omer, the eighth day of the Omer, which is the week of Gvura, which is very exciting because we know every week of the Omer helps us correct different aspects of ourselves, different aspects of our nature, different aspects of our consciousness. And a lot of us could use a lot of correction and support in this area to help us create a balance, the proper balance in the area of gvura, of our desire to receive. Throughout the Omer, we're also, because it's a time of um, a different revelation of light, of judgment, we're actually sweetening all the judgments with the counting of the Omer, with the consciousness and with the desire during this time. So it's a very beautiful and powerful time. Just so I don't forget, we are starting the new portion on April 20th. I think that's in 10 days. Um, on the first day of the, yeah, right, so Monday, yeah, April 20th. So we have just today and next week to to complete the portion of Vayeshev, and then we enter the portion of Miketz, which is so exciting, even more beautiful and inspiring and deep, exciting sections in the Zohar. We're going to send an invite, hopefully today, maybe next week, so you can share that with your friends. Let them know that we're starting the new portion. It's incredibly exciting. They can also join us next Friday for the completion of this portion. Whoever joins for the completion of a study, it's as if they get all the light. They get all the light of the revelation of the study. So let people know next Friday, exactly at this time, we will be completing this portion. They can receive all the energy of a portion of Vayeshev, and the following Monday, starting the new portion of Miketz, a very exciting portion. So let's begin our study today with setting our intention and our consciousness. As we said, we're in the week of Gvura in the counting of the Omer, which means we want to use the light of the Zohar, as we'll also see through our study today, create deep transformation within us. We'll see that the greatest way to really change our consciousness is with exactly what we're doing in connection to the Torah, connection to the Zohar on a consistent basis, with a great desire to transform. So we're meditating through this study. We are awakening deep transformation and our consciousness that transforms our actions and awakens more love within each and every one of us and more love in the world. That's how we really create a change in the world. Whether we realize it or not, after Pesach, the world is a different place. And it's our job to help manifest this new reality for ourselves and for the world as a whole. So, with deep appreciation for the merit that we have to have access to the light of the Zohar, that we live in a time after Rav Shimon has revealed all this light, let's read the prayer of the Ari, opening our hearts to prepare us for the great light that is available during this study, plugging into the tree of life reality, the highest light of our soul, drawing down this light into the world, this consciousness into the world. ריבון העולמים ואדוני האדונים, אב הרחמים והסליחות מלך לפניך, אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו וקידש לך ושקרבתנו לתורתך ולעבודתך עבודת הקודש ונתת לנו חלק בשדות תורתך הקדושה. ואנו בחיים שעשיתי עם החסד הגדול הזה, על כן אנחנו מעפילים תחננו לפניך, שתמחו ונסלח לכל חטאותינו ועבודתנו ועל עבודתנו מבדילים ממנו לבניך. וכן יעזור לפניך אדוני אלוהינו ולאבותינו שתכונן את לבבינו ליראתך ולאהבתך ותקשיב אוזניך לדברים האלה ותפתח לבבינו הערה בזלות תורתך ויהיה לנו לזה נחת רוח לפניך זכר ולחכיך ניחוח ותציל עלינו עומק כל נשמתנו בכל בחינתנו ושיתנוצצונו נצוצות לבדיך הקדושים אשר אינם גילית את דבריך לבעולם וזכותם וזכות אבותם וזכות תורתם ותמונתם ושתם יעמוד לנו לבן הקשה בדברם אלו וזכותם תאיר עינינו במה שאנו לומדים כמאמר נעים זמירות ישראל גלנה וביטן תפעל מתורתך כי אדוני ייתן חוכמה מפיו דעת ותבונה יהיו לרצונים מפיו והגן לי מלפניך אדוני צור וגואלי. Beautiful. So here we are. We're continuing with paragraph 244 in the portion of Vayeshev. And we're discussing now the experience that Joseph had with the baker and the butler in prison. They each had a dream, and he interprets those dreams. And eventually that leads, as we'll see in the next portion, the Miketz. We'll talk about it a bit today. But that leads to Joseph's freedom and position as the ruler of Egypt. So the Zohar began this chapter on paragraph 241 with explaining how human beings are created with a special image of the Creator, something divine about us that makes us special, that while all of creation is created according to the spiritual realms, humanity is created in the image of the Creator. We are created in greater level of desire and in a greater level of holiness, because our job is to elevate all of creation. So there is a certain image that we are created in, and then there's a certain level of divine soul that we are given. And as we said in paragraph 243, when the soul or the image is missing, that's what makes us human. And when we're no longer human, spiritually, obviously physically we are, but if we're not spiritually human, if we don't have that status of human consciousness, what it really means to be human, not that I walk on two legs and I have these thumbs and I could speak. That doesn't make a person human. What makes a person human is expressing their divine nature and their soul. And if we don't have that, then we're no different than animals. And that's why we said animals will not respect us. Animals will not, animals, as the Zohar says, will attack us, etc. So, chas v'shalom, God forbid. But now the Zohar continues with a famous story, as we know. Paragraph 244. Come and see. I had a bit of trouble understanding what the Zohar means to say here, and Rav Ashlag's comments, they explain a bit, but I still don't have full clarity on what this means exactly. So I'll just explain it the way I'll just translate what Rav Ashlag says, and then maybe it'll make sense completely to someone else. But I have a few questions about what this means. But either way, it says the Creator changes actions above and below. Rav Ashlag adds in the notes here, the Creator changes the divine holy image above and the image of man below, as we explained before. Begin le'ahadara milin le'atrayu, in order to restore everything back to its root, meaning like it was when Adam was created, when Adam and Eve were created, before the fall of the tree of knowledge. It says that they were 1,000 amot tall. It's like, 2,000 feet tall, 1,500 or 2,000 feet tall. It doesn't mean necessarily literally. Maybe they were literally, but it represents their spiritual stature, that they were on the level of the highest realms, the highest worlds. We know that all of creation comes from a different realm of the spiritual worlds. Humanity, in some ways you can look at it, comes from the realm of Atzilut, from a highest level of souls. So their souls came in this purest, great, gigantic form. But then when they ate from the tree of knowledge, then their consciousness dropped, and therefore their stature and their image and their force also was diminished. Right? Like we said in paragraph 243, that our souls are in the image of the Creator, but when we are reactive, when we don't express that divine nature of our soul, then we lose that, and we are now on the level of animals. So it says that the Zohar is saying that the Creator arranges things so that we can restore ourselves back to our root. And for the Creator's desire to manifest in all the ways, all aspects of this world, which means when we are not connected to our soul, to our source, when we are not in affinity with the light, there is no vessel for the Creator's endless light. We stop the Creator from revealing endless light in this world. We stop the Creator from revealing the blessings and light that we need in our own lives. So the Creator tries to do everything to arrange things that will go through a transformation process. So we will go back to who we really are. This is also one of the beautiful things that we explain that we understand from Kabbalah is not that we're bad and we need to be good. It's not that we are flawed and we need to somehow correct ourselves. Our essence is perfect. Our nature is divine. Our job is to re-reveal that nature. Our job is to shed what is not me, what I've taken on in this physical world, what I have acquired through my selfishness that has been caked on all the klipot, to shed all of that, to let that all go, so that my true, divine, godlike nature, the holiness within every single one of us, can be revealed once again. And the Creator sets that up to help us do that. The challenges we go through, the pain that we experience that gets us to change. Here Rav Ashlag adds, through challenges, through what people might call punishment, all of our actions, even what creates the most distance between us and the Creator, helps us. All the challenges help us come close to the Creator. When we go through darkness, we start to miss the light. We start to seek the light. That's what challenges are for, to help us seek the light. When we're on a truly spiritual path, hopefully we get to a place where we don't need darkness to seek light. Instead of being afraid of darkness, we will crave light, not from a place of fear, but from a place of love, of craving. Then the Zohar continues, Daniel laishtane diokne. We know Daniel, the prophet Daniel, from the book of Daniel, right? It says he never changed his image. His form, his image never changed. Kalapilu begova dariyavata. When he was thrown into the lion's den. And therefore he was saved. So we know Daniel. Daniel was taken with many other young, young people from the land of Israel during the time of the Babylonian exile. They were taken by the kings, and we know three others who were thrown into the pit of fire. Daniel was also one of them, and they were advisors eventually to the king. And eventually there was a situation, I think this is in chapter 4 or something of Daniel. Chapter 6, I think. Okay. It says that Daniel was the king was tricked and made some sort of decree that you can't pray, you can only worship the king himself. And Daniel every morning would pray, he would face Jerusalem, and he would pray to the Creator. And he got caught, and he was supposed to be punished. He was supposed to be executed for his actions. So the king decided, because the king loved him very much, the king decided to throw him into the lion's den and said, "Look, I have to punish him because of the rule that I made, because of my advisors." But his desire was that he would be saved. So he throws him in the lion's den. And we know the famous story that Daniel is saved from the lions, and the king rushes in the morning to see that Daniel's okay. The Daniel's fine, and instead he throws his guards in, and the lions, do what they do normally to people. Now, why wasn't Daniel eaten by the lions? And we see this, by the way, with other Kabbalists. We know the Orach Chaim HaKadosh, Rabbi Chaim ben Attar, and also Rabbi Avraham ben Attar in Fez, in Morocco. And different Kabbalists had experiences specifically with lions, but specifically with animals generally with animals that they wouldn't harm them. Right? The lions became like little, house cats because they felt the divine nature of the the person that was sitting in front of them, and it's like Adam and Eve with all the animals of creation. They felt no need to attack them. They realized there's this hierarchy. This person is like the creator. The animal would never attack the creator, and therefore, they were unharmed. And that's also why it says that, for example, if a person is prey, they should never. If any animal comes to harm them, they shouldn't worry because the animals they have their orders from the creator. Except for a scorpion. If a scorpion comes while you're praying, then yes, you should move because the scorpions do not follow the direction of the creator. But lions and any other animal does. They all do. So the Zohar continues, and therefore he was saved. Because the image of the creator within him, his holy form never changed. He was actually a human being. He wasn't reactive and animalistic. Amar Bechizkiah says, if so, if that's true, if his divine natural image was present, and that's why he was saved. Haktiv Eloki Shalach Malache Usaga Pum Arevata Vedla Chabeluni. Why did he pray? He asked, because the king asked him, how are you saved? And he said, my God sent an angel who shut the mouths of the lion, so they did not injure me, they did not hurt me. Right? So Daniel told the king that he was saved because God sent an angel, not because of his own divine image. It seems that not because of his holy form, sacred image, divine nature that he was saved. It seems that it was an angel of God. God saved him. It wasn't his own light. 245. Amalei. So Rabbi Elazar answers him, and he says, Beginda light chabal. It really is his divine image. He says, no, it's exactly that. The divine image, the sacred image of a person is an angel. And that's what protected Daniel in that situation. His own soul, his own light is this angel. The skir puma, that's what kept the mouths of the lions closed. Vekashilon, and kept them bound not to harm him, the natale to protect him, to not harm him in any way. Therefore, Daniel said, Elaki shalach malache. That's why Daniel said, my God sent an angel. He sent his angel. Hahu dechod yoknin de alma mittaknan be. What is this angel? This angel represents this force that all the images of the world are inscribed within it. Ve'yu atkif diokne bi, and this force, this angel, strengthened the image of God within me. Ve'leachilu leshalta bi, and they could not control me. Uskapumayu, these lions couldn't control me, and they couldn't harm me, and their mouths were closed. V'ada Shalach malache vaday. And then surely that's why the Creator sent the angel to protect me. 246. V'hai malacha. And this angel, hahu dechod yoknin milchake kanbe. Who is this angel? What are we talking about? It's this force that all the images are inscribed within it. Here Rav Ashlag adds, this is also something I'm not very sure about, but we'll just explain literally and then maybe we'll understand it. He says this represents the nukva, the malchut, that is called angel, that all the forms of the world come from it. So my understanding, maybe this represents the perfected soul, the malchut, perfected malchut, I'm not sure. But either way, um, Dichtiv, as it says, Yadin bagoin maleh giviyot. It says in Psalm 110, verse 6, he works judgment upon the nations, heaping up bodies. Ihu de la ishtane kame kol diokni in de alma. Heaping up bodies represents like the different bodies, the different forms. So this represents the all the forms of all the bodies, all the forms of humanity, never change. Representing the inner perfect form of every person is in the Malchut. And therefore, it's incumbent upon every single person to guard their way and the path they go on. In order not to separate themselves from the Creator, not to fall before their master, not to sin. As we say, sinning is not about transgressing in a religious way that we understand. It represents disconnecting from the Creator. Every time we do something negative, every time we express our reactive nature, our ego nature, we're expressing a part of that's not the true us. So it takes the light of our soul and we give it over to the negative side. So a person, the Zohar says, we have to be so careful not to cover up that divine nature within ourselves. And instead we should remain in the image of Adam, to be a real human being, to really be human. That's what Kabbalah helps us do, to actually be human, not reactive, not animalistic, not needy and small, but to express the great limitless divine nature that exists within us. 247. Tachazeh, come and see. The Zohar is now going to explain a few ways that we can actually preserve our divine nature. And a very practical thing the Zohar is going to say from the prophet Ezekiel, Yechezkel. What did Ezekiel do? He was very careful about what he ate. He never ate any what's called ma'achale de isure. Let's start that again. 247. 247. Tachazeh, come and see. So Ezekiel, he gives an example of how he maintained his divine nature, and this is something that we can learn from. How do we maintain our divine nature? Part of it is what we eat. This is one of the reasons why there's a concept called kosher food. Kosher food is not about what God wants us to eat, what doesn't want us to eat. And actually, I didn't realize this till now, this portion, the portion of Shmini, reveals this concept of kosher food. What is the food that can separate us from our divine nature by eating them, and what can help us preserve our divine nature even if we eat them? So it says that Yechezkel, Ezekiel, says about himself, Dichtiv, I never ate foul flesh, never entered my mouth. There's a whole situation, in chapter 4 of Ezekiel, that the Creator tells him there's going to be a judgment. You need to, do a bunch of things to awaken the world and to take on the judgments of the world. And one of the things he told him to do was to eat something. And Ezekiel told the Creator, "Look, I've been so careful with what I eat. Don't make me eat that. I know that's not good for me. Change it." And without going into the details, and so the Creator let him eat something more pure, less impure. Zacha v'yikrei ben Adam, and therefore, in the next few verses, in the next chapter 5 of Ezekiel, the Creator calls him, and throughout the book of Ezekiel, the Creator calls him Ben Adam. Ben Adam often translates as human being, but it means Ben means son of. Adam is Adam, son of Adam. Meaning Ezekiel preserved his image of Adam, preserved his image of perfection within him. Part of it was because of how he ate. Daniel Maktiv Bey, about Daniel, what does it say about him? Why did he also manage to preserve his inner perfection? Because Ktiv Bey, it says about him, Vayasan Daniel alibo shelo yidgaal befat bag hamelech uviyayin nishtav. When Daniel in chapter 1, when Daniel and the other ones as well, but Azariah, Mishael, and Mishael, Azariah, and I forgot the third name. It's funny. Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. When they went with Daniel to um, when they went to the exile and they were taken by the kings and the everything. Daniel made a commitment to himself that he's not going to eat the king's food or drink the king's wine because he knew it wasn't kosher. He knew it didn't have the right intention and it would not be good for him internally, spiritually. And he made a whole deal with the servants of the king that he would only eat, simple food, no meat and no wine, because he didn't want to affect him spiritually. And the king, the servants didn't want to do that, but he convinced them, look, you'll see, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be healthier than everyone else, because they understood the spiritual significance for themselves. Zachahu, and because of this, he merited that he managed to preserve the image of Adam within him. Begin to chol milin de alma, because everything in this world kulu dachalin mikamed yokne de Adam. Everything fears the image of Adam because Adam was created in the image of the Creator. And again, we said like the hierarchy of creation. Diyu shalita al kulhu, that he managed to control everything, everyone in the world. Viyu malka al kola, and he was the king over everyone, king over everything. So that's how it's supposed to be. If we really express our divine nature, then we'll be able to control everything in this world. We will be like Joseph the righteous, to be in control of, we'll learn the portion of Miketz. Now, why does the food matter so much? Food, the Kabbalists explain, the Ramchal talks about this, Moshe Chaim Luzzatto, that the food that we eat, it's literally what our bodies are made of. So what you eat, your body absorbs that, and then eventually, right, that's how a person, where does fat come from, right? Where does the person grow? Is from the food that they eat. Eventually, that physical matter is transformed into what makes up, yes, their muscle mass and their bones and everything, especially as you're evolving in the womb or as a child. It's very important to your physical form is going to be made out of what you eat. So why does that matter so much? Because what you eat there's a consciousness in everything. Certain animals have certain consciousness. That's why everything about kosher food is all about restriction. Certain animals have inherently within them the concept of restriction, as we'll see probably in the video of the Rav this week on Shabbat. Um, it's all about the balance of central column. So eating certain, that's why the Ramchal, as I was saying, says when you eat certain foods, if they lack that balance of central column, right? That's why we don't mix meat and milk. Meat and milk are also, meat is left column, milk is right column. When you mix them, then you're mixing right and left column. It's not a proper balance. You need to have the time between the meat and the milk. You wait the hours, that way there's central column. Certain animals, as we said, don't have. That's why cows or different things that are kosher, they have the split hooves, which represent the separation of right and left column. That's power of restriction. They have the digestion, right? There's the chewing their cud represents restriction, right? Not just consuming. Um, all the different examples the Kabbalists give is all about restriction. So the Ramchal says that when a person eats something that is not, again, quote unquote kosher, but really doesn't have within it the balance of restriction, then it makes them what's called impure. But impure means that it awakens the aspect of the negativity within them. It's not a religious thing to eat kosher. It represents how do you maintain your divine nature, your soul's divine nature, which is restriction, which is balance. So here's the Zohar is giving a tip almost, right, or a revelation about how what we eat, as they say, you are what you eat. So if a person eats something from that doesn't have restriction in it, then that makes a person a little more reactive. And when you're a little more reactive, then you lose your form, you lose your image. It's not about what you eat, but it's about how you behave with the consciousness that comes from it. We'll stop there because we're very short on time. 248. Amar Yosef. Yosef says, begin dap. Therefore, a person should always mind themselves and how they behave. Should always protect themselves and watch any negative behavior. And to not divert too far to the right, too far to the left. Again, reactive. You can be too reactive on the right side. You can be too reactive on the left side. Too reactive with your sharing. Too reactive with your taking, with your receiving. That point is central column, balance, restriction. And with all that, a person should constantly to search their negative actions. to see where they're behaving in a negative way. B'chol yom b'yom, every single day. Dahakad banash kaimei I'll say, when a person wakes up in the morning, when a person stands out of the bed in the morning, trein sadin kaimin kabeh. There are two angels, two witnesses that are with that person. Ve'azle behadei kol yoma, and they walk with this person every day. The Zohar speaks about this in other places, that there are witnesses that witness our actions throughout the day. They give testimony throughout our day, and also we'll see as they try and guide us throughout the day. 249. By banash lemekam. When a person gets up, how should they wake up in the morning? Inun sade amrin le. These angels wake up with this person and they say before him, B'shata de aftach inoi. For example, when you open your eyes, there's an angel that says a verse, Einecha lenochach ebitu ve'af apecha yashiru negdecha. These angels from Proverbs, they say in verse 25 in Proverbs, let your eyes look forward, let your gaze or let your eyelids be straight ahead, meaning use your eyes just for good. Focus on what you need to focus on today. Don't use your eyes for judgment. Don't use your eyes for negativity. Use your eyes to connect you to your soul today. When a person stands up and wants to walk in the morning, these angels, these witnesses, what do they say to this person to help guide them on the path of their soul? Right? They say, survey the course you take. Watch out where you're going, and all your ways will prosper. Be careful where you go. Have consciousness throughout your day. So the angels, as we open our eyes, as we walk, in other places in the Talmud, they give other explanations of what these angels are saying, but they're trying to guide us. From the moment we wake up, we have guidance, angelic guidance to follow on the path of our soul. When we wake up in the morning, that's why we want to start our day with Modeh, to thank the Creator. We want to be grateful, because that is what awakens the power of our soul. That's why we wash our hands, to remove the negativity. That's why we have the morning blessings. That's why we, for example, here we have the morning study, because this helps us align our consciousness, gives us the best chance of awakening the divine nature of our soul and maintaining that divine nature throughout the day. That's why we need 30 minutes of Zohar a day, because that also helps reveal the divine nature of our soul, and I will be less reactive, and I'll have more certainty throughout the day. And therefore, when a person walks in the morning, every day, the person should be careful and watch out from negativity, from their negative actions, from negative consciousness throughout the day. 250. Every single day. When the night comes, right? So in the morning, we should be careful how we behave. What happens at night? It's important to take a look throughout your day, to examine your day, to check how you behaved, to examine what you did throughout the whole day. Begin diyetuv minahu, in order to do teshuvah, in order to restore whatever might have been lost from the light of your soul through reactive behavior. And to constantly always look at what you've done throughout the day in order to change. Begin diyetuv kamei, in order to return himself, to restore the connection to the Creator, to restore his divine nature when he goes to sleep. Because every night when we go to sleep, it's like we die a little bit. And like when before a person dies, they want to close off the chapter, finish what they did, make whatever tikkun, correction they could have. And then when they go to sleep, their soul enters the spiritual realm. And then they come back, and it's like a new life, a new day. And we want to leave the slate clean. Kamada Tamar, as it says, V'chatati negdi tamid, as King David would say, that I'm always conscious of my negativity. Every day I'm conscious of where my negativity might have come out today, where I was reactive today, where I was distant or dissimilar to the Creator today. And when I'm aware of it, then I can actually change it. Begin diyetuv minai, in order to do teshuvah, in order to correct whatever it is that I might have done today. And this is one of the foundations of really living a spiritual life. A lot of us like to beat ourselves up throughout the day for the negative things we've done. The Kabbalists say, during the day, just focus on doing as much good as you can. Yes, try and do as few negative things as you can. Right, fine. But during the day is not the time for introspection. During the day is not the time to try and change. That's what you do at night. At night, you examine, right? It's like, as an athlete, you don't try and get better during the game. During the game is time to perform. Yes, you have your time to practice. You have your time to train. You have your time to reflect. You don't sit there after you miss a shot and start reflecting on it. No, that's not time to reflect. Time to reflect is at night. During the day, it's time for action. The opponent likes to mix us up. We mess up, so we start to beat ourselves up and we say, oh, I'm so this, I'm so that. Forget about that. During the day, just share. During the day, just try not to be reactive. During the day, just try and do as much good as you can. At night, you make a list. You look through your day. Where was I reactive? Where was I negative? Where did I speak in a negative way? Where was I judgmental? Where was I jealous? Where did I have negative thoughts? Where did I lack certainty? And then you become aware of it. And then you ask the Creator to help you change. And you make a decision. How can I do better tomorrow? And then in the morning, you start your day with, okay, great. Now I have more light on my soul that I can actually change. And the Kabbalists teach that Ari would talk a lot about this, the importance of doing this before we go to sleep, because that's what actually helps our soul elevate properly when we go through this work. I know we're over time, but we're going to just continue a little bit. 251. Come and see. When the Israelites were in the Holy Land, in the land of Israel, right? During the time after they came from the desert, they were there for until the time of the first exile, the Babylonian exile, and then eventually the other exiles. What do they have? As we've learned, there was no negativity that held on to the Israelites at that time. Why? Because of the sacrifices they did in the temple. Every single day, in the temple, they would do the sacrifices. And because of those sacrifices, all the negativity would be cleansed, all the negativity would be removed. There was a sacrifice for everything. Now we know it's not about sacrificing, making God happy with us by burning some meat. That's not the point, or killing an animal. It represented an inner process of transformation. We know in the portion of Vayikra, we studied this in the Zohar, well, not as a group, but for those who read the portion of Vayikra in the Zohar, we read it a few weeks ago. It talks all about how the sacrifices were not about appeasing God. It was about going through, waging war against my own negativity, as the Rav explains it. Korban, it represents war. Krav, it's what is the battle against my negativity. Lekarev, to bring me closer to the Creator. If a person just went and slaughtered an animal, but they didn't go through an inner process, that sacrifice did nothing for them. So when the temple was standing and the Israelites were in the temple, they were able to remove all the negativity that was accumulated, or it couldn't accumulate because they would always remove it right away. Within a few days, they would go and they would do teshuvah, a deep inner process. Hashta, however, in our times, that we've been exiled from our land, and there's no one, there is no force, there's nothing that that we can use in the same physical way to do that inner work of transformation and removing the negativity. What is the force that cleanses us? We don't have sacrifices. What is the force that cleanses us? And this is such a powerful, I wish we had more time to explain this. I'll explain it briefly. It is the Torah that brings us that cleansing, that atonement. I love how Karen would talk about, for example, Yom Kippur, atonement. The day of atonement is the day of at-one-ment. The atonement, the at-one-ment, is where you move the separation between you and the Creator. What is the Torah? The Torah, the study of the Zohar and the Torah, is what cleanses out all the negative consciousness that we've accumulated through our negative behavior. All the thoughts of our ego, all the thoughts of separation and selfishness. The Torah is what cleanses our consciousness. That's why we come every day to make these connections. What is the force that changes you? And how does the Torah cleanse? How does it atone? Because as Michael Berg shared in the Searching of the Chametz, we search for the 10 levels of negativity. If you find the root of negativity, if you manage to transform the root of negativity, you then manage to cleanse everything that branches forth from that. So let's say a person, God forbid, stole something. How do they cleanse the negativity of the theft? They first have to cleanse it's not just, okay, give it back. Giving it back it helps, obviously, right? But there's some things you can't give back. If a person, God forbid, takes a life, if a person, got angry at someone, if a person hurts someone's feelings, you can't take it back. But what you can do is you cleanse the consciousness that allowed that reactivity and negativity to be expressed. When you cleanse the consciousness, you're cleansing the root. When you cleanse the root, you cleanse all the branches. You purify all the branches. So as we study, as we're purifying our consciousness, as we're going through this cleansing process, deep down inside, we actually correct all the roots, all the branches that come forth from our negative consciousness. That's what the studying of the Torah is. And therefore, that's what real transformation is. And there's also a verse, it says, Zot HaTorah, I forgot the exact verse. Zot Torah, la'olav, la'mincha, ve'lashlamim, something like that. It says this is the Torah of all the different sacrifices. And the Kabbalists explain that the study of Torah, the true connection to consciousness, and this light and this wisdom is equal to all the sacrifices that were given in the temple. If you really do this properly, because the point was not the sacrifice, the point was the inner work. The point was the cleansing of our consciousness. The point was the purification that the Torah brings. So if a person really does this study, and they focus on positive actions, on good deeds, positive actions, sharing actions, out of the comfort zone, begin to Shechinta Imahon Begaluta, since the Shekhinah is with us in the exile, the Creator is with us in the darkness. When a person doesn't look at the path of the Creator in this life, because the light of the Creator to be in the dirt, in the dust, in the darkness, for the Creator comes with us even into the darkness. And therefore, when we go through a transformation process, it says, as it says, right? As it says in the book of Isaiah, that the Creator lays low, even in the ground. He brings it to the dust. Our negative actions bring the Creator's endless light down to the darkness. We give our light to the klipot. I know we have to finish, but I'm going to go a little bit more. I hope you guys can bear with me. 252. Yitzchak says, whoever studies the Torah, again, it's not you sitting, not reading in books. It's not sitting there and learning a lot. Whoever is revealing this light of the Torah in their hearts, within their consciousness, whoever's really making a connection to the Torah, whoever uvovadin dechashan, and they actually they do the positive actions that express their divine nature. If a person is using the light of the Torah to really change, they cause the congregation of Israel, which represents the collective souls of humanity, the Shekhinah, the light of the Creator, to raise its head in the exile. How do you reveal the light in the world? How do you end pain, suffering, and death in the world? It's exactly what we're talking about. Connection to the Zohar, spiritual consciousness, inner transformation. Zaka'achu lakehon, happy is their portion. Happy is the portion of those who study the Torah day and night. Again, it's not just the sitting and reading of books and wisdom. It represents true transformation and expressing the divine nature of the Creator within. Let's squeeze in one more. 253. Tachazeh, come and see. Gilgulin be'alma. The Creator stirs things up. The Creator moves things around in the world. Why? Begin la'arama reisha de tzadikayim. In order to raise the head of the tzadikim, to raise the light of the tzaddikim in the world, of the righteous people in the world, right? The people in the greatest power are not necessarily the best people in the world, right? The best people in the world are often quietest people, right? The builders of the world are not the ones who are running this world, unfortunately, but really they are on a spiritual level. And what needs to be, how this world will finally change when the people of consciousness will be the ones who are running the world, not the people with ego and power. And our job is to awaken more people to consciousness and to awaken consciousness also in those areas so that that reality will manifest. Yosef in order for the Creator to raise Joseph's head in the world, right? Joseph was a slave. He was in prison. How did the Creator raise him up in the world? Because Joseph was a tzaddik, he was a righteous person. The Creator wanted to raise his head. He made his master angry with him, right? Potiphar's wife tried to seduce him. Potiphar sent him into prison. And the Creator also, actually maybe the Zohar is referring to this, the Creator made Pharaoh angry at his servants. That's the whole chapter we're talking about. It says, that the Pharaoh got angry at his cupbearer, right? The Pharaoh found a fly in his wine, so he sent the cupbearer to prison, and he found a stone in his bread, so he sent the baker to prison. He was upset he was going to execute them, or he was going to put a judgment on them. Because of the Creator made Pharaoh angry with them on purpose. Why? So that they would be in prison with Joseph. In order, all of this happened in order to raise Joseph the righteous, raise his head above everyone else. Come and see. Through a dream, through a dream, That's how Joseph was. Um, right, we know the two dreams that Joseph had. He had the dream of the wheat, the stalks of wheat that were bowing, and represents him and his brothers. He had the dream of the stars and the sun and the moon bowing down to him, and that created hatred between his brothers to him towards him. He is therefore pushed aside from his brothers. He was thrown into the pit and sold into slavery. It was through dreams. Ve'al yada, oops, ve'al yada dechelma idrabe alachoy. But it was also through dreams that he managed to go above his brothers. We know that there was the dream of the wine steward and the baker. As we'll learn more about these dreams soon, we'll learn more about what they mean. But the dream that the wine steward had, which was squeezing the grapes, the three branches, squeezing the grapes into Pharaoh's cup, and the bread baskets with the birds eating the bread. That's what brought Joseph out of prison, out of the darkness. Ve'idrabe al kol alma. And what made him master of this entire world? That was through Pharaoh's dreams of the cows, the fat and the skinny cows, as we'll learn in the portion of Miketz, next portion, on April 20th, and of the thin and thick stalks of grain. It was through those that Joseph became ruler of the whole world. So it was through the dreams. And soon the Zohar, we're going to go into this next time, 254, we'll start to go into a little bit more of the dreams and explain some really beautiful and exciting sections of the Zohar. That will be on Monday. Hopefully, as I said, I'll try and send an invite for our next portion. Next Friday, in 1 week's time, we will complete this portion. And on the following Monday, April 20th, we will start the portion of Miketz. Incredibly exciting. I hope you guys have been enjoying this portion. It's really, really been a beautiful portion. Miketz will also be an amazing portion. I want to wish everyone a Shabbat Shalom. This is where, as I said, this portion of Shemini, we speak about foods, but really represents restriction. It's not about the literal physical only, because then it's just superficial. It's about the depth and the consciousness of restriction that we want to awaken. So lots of love to everyone. Have an amazing Shabbat. This Shabbat helps manifest the new soul and the consciousness of Pesach, which is exactly what we need. And the week of Gvura, this Shabbat is Gvura of Gvura. It's incredibly powerful that we have it on Shabbat. It's very, very powerful that we can use the light of Shabbat to transform all the judgments, all the harshness within us and the world. And looking forward to seeing you on Monday for our final week of the portion of Vayeshev. Lots of love, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.